Weather Nation. If you're traveling around Erie, Pennsylvania, you may want to go old school and throw on a pair of cross-country skis. Certainly enough snow that direction. We're piling on more, but yeah, why not? Especially if you could just go out and do some cross-country skiing around your neighborhood. That's fantastic. A lot of people, yeah, they make yearly vacation plans to get out and do some of that. So this is right there in Erie. That's how a few of those people are getting around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the snowshoes, always good so you don't sink too far down into the snow.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to be giving you the, well, we always do the planes, trains, automobile forecast. Also snowmobile forecast, maybe. That's how you're getting around.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of the country, Mike, that's actually covered in snow. About half the country, lower 48, that is.
And a lot of this is fairly recent. We certainly have seen some colder temperatures this direction. Places like Erie, though, you're in a special place. You get that lake effect snow, and that certainly is ongoing.
Should feel special. Mr. Mike Morrison doesn't call everybody special, so that's a nice little statement there. We do have the lake effect snow tomorrow, and also there could be a couple of icy spots there in the Carolinas tomorrow. It's kind of tricky, but it might just be enough cold there, so kind of listen for any local alerts there.
Yeah, not terrible weather pushing on in. We'll see some snow over the next couple days, this portion of the Great Lakes into the Northeast. Some more rain and maybe some wintry mix as we go through this weekend. But you know what? Travel time this time of year, pretty busy between Christmas and New Year's. And for more on that, here's our own John Van Pelt.
As colder weather spreads across the country, we think about the normal problems caused by winter precipitation, like transportation delays, increased energy use, and school and business closure impacts. For the past 30 years, the most deadly direct weather-related threat has been extreme heat, followed by flooding. But a much bigger threat to our lives and safety is weather-related traffic accidents. From 2005 to 2014, those crashes have taken nearly 6,000 lives a year, compared to around 550 deaths from heat, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, and all other weather-related causes combined. While we might think that snow, sleet, and freezing rain are the main culprits in these accidents, the majority of crashes are actually caused by wet pavement and rainfall year-round. So every year, more than 5,100 fatal crashes, 304,000 injury crashes, and more than 900,000 property damage crashes occur in adverse weather or on slick pavement. So to be safer, drive defensively. When the road is wet, slow down. Leave longer following distances between you and other cars. And when winter conditions merit travel advisories and warnings, just stay off the roads unless absolutely necessary. For Weather Nation, I'm John Van Pelt.
As always, thank you, John, for that. And a lot of the country experiencing colder than average temperatures over the next several days. One of the warmer spots across the Southwest, Phoenix, LA, maybe into parts of Vegas as well. That'll continue to be where the warmth lies over the next few days. Radar, we do have a little bit of moisture here across the Northwest. It picks up intensity Thursday. So as we take you through Thursday night, you can see that we have the snowfall pinks indicating 8+ inches on the way for parts of the northern Cascades. As you get into the Tetons, so far it looks heaviest the farther north you go, but another blanket of snow. Kind of missing California for now, but we'll have to watch next week maybe with some changes there. Lake effect snow showers continue across the Northeast, so if your travel takes you on any of these interstates that travel through any of those lake effect cities or near the eastern side of the Great Lakes, definitely check road conditions before you go. This is a pattern that's going to continue over the next couple of days. This cold air, temperatures 0 or even in negative territory, go over those water temperatures which are still in the 30s and maybe even 40s, so it's a big difference there. Forecast snowfall really picking it up Traverse City to Grand Rapids and into Erie, Pennsylvania. You already have 60 inches. Could get a little more as well. Temperatures across the south are teetering on the freezing mark in places like northern Texas, Oklahoma, also places like the Carolinas. So as we go through tonight, definitely watch for any of this rain to fall with temperatures in the 30s. Definitely, again, take note that we do have some winter weather alerts through tonight in the Wichita Falls areas just down to the south and west for some light freezing drizzle, a little glaze of ice there, and also across northeast South Carolina and southeast North Carolina into your Wednesday morning commute. Again, not a lot showing up on the model, but we will just have just enough there. I'll leave you with the extended there in Dallas, Texas, as another cold shot coming in for New Year's Eve, it looks like. Hey, find us on Roku. If you're maybe thinking about a belated Christmas gift, it's always a good one there. Amazon Fire TV. Many ways to find us here on Weather Nation.
Well, look at that snow that piled up for your Christmas day. You got your wish from Santa, white Christmas in places like Pierce, Washington. As we just saw that system roll through with that right amount of temperature to give us some good snow to liquid ratio out there. And look at that, just looks like a few inches potentially on that bench out there. And then even towards Seattle in Washington as well. A white Christmas there too. You have some of the decorations, as you can see, even getting that coating of some snow out there. Santa right here, a bit of a dusting on top of him, but we picked up about an inch of snow. Yeah, we have a white Christmas in Seattle. That had a 7% chance of one each year, and this is the first white Christmas we had since 2008. So it really was a nice thing. Maybe go out and buy a scratch-off ticket or something in the lottery with those chances, because you are pretty darn lucky. And a lot of places picked up that good amount of snow. I mean, especially into Idaho, we saw over a foot of snow in Burley, and to Preston we saw about 10 inches plus, half a foot in Dayton, Washington, then over 4 inches in the Cascade Locks of Oregon. So all that snow continued to push through. It's out of the way now. We're clearing our skies this morning. A fantastic sunrise on our Tuesday in Portland, Oregon. I mean, this is absolutely a stunning sight to see. And Mount Rainier in the background for some places, seeing we also saw a great sunrise across Mount Rainier, but over towards Haynesville, Washington. I mean, a fiery start to the day as well. Now, earlier into Seattle, where that sun has already risen, and we did have just more of it really shining bright across the western half of Washington, then over into places like Portland, Oregon, where we still have some of that dusting of snow on the ground. I mean, we picked up a good amount for Portland standards for the day yesterday, and we're even seeing those roads much clearer today as temperatures are warming up, and even some of those snow showers looking to still even be falling at times potentially in Bend, Oregon earlier, as those heavy low clouds were hanging around. Now, we're continuing to really get some impressive snow depth here across the Northwest, especially across the chimney of Idaho and the Cascades of both Washington and Oregon. Now, we're going to see a bit of a warm-up, unfortunately, for those snow lovers out there as we work into the next few days. That's also going to be with clouds increasing, because we have that next system starting to ride in across the Pacific. Now, with this low pressure system that's forming across this stationary front, we're going to start to get enough lift to see some of those snow showers back into the forecast for northern Idaho. Mainly could see that working into eastern Oregon, northeastern Oregon at that, but most of it across the coast, we're just seeing that warm up working in, and where we're going to have some warmer temperatures even overnight, only dropping into the 40s for some spots. We'll have some of those rain showers working back in, but it really depends on where you're going to be to see and feel what you're going to experience tomorrow morning, because across the coast we're starting to get that southerly flow, and we have some 30s even closer towards the shore. We're going to have 40s in spots, but further inland, that's where we have still that low pressure pulling in some winds out of the north, so teens and low 20s for the start of your Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, continue to see a bit of a dreary day, but a bit more clear up into Washington. Now, we're going to have the scattered rain and snow showers depending on where you are throughout Oregon for tomorrow, mainly as snow for Idaho, but this could spell for some trouble, especially where temperatures are hovering right around that freezing mark. Could have some freezing rain and spots, some slick roads throughout the day on Wednesday. Temperatures getting back into the 30s and 20s further inland, but of course, as I keep saying, we're heating things up across the I-5 corridor and further off to the west, because we have that southerly flow working in with that next system. So that's going to get us back towards close to 50 degrees in some spots. Still seeing this high pressure move in throughout the day Wednesday night into Thursday. That's going to give us a break in some of the rain and snow, but look, more moisture working in. Another system right behind it giving us some widespread, actually pretty decent snow for the Cascades as we head throughout the day on Thursday, but we're still pretty warm and getting that southerly flow. We'll have coastal rain across western Washington and Oregon. Highs getting a bit warmer each day as we continue through the end of this week, and we'll still see that warm up working into places like Spokane, Washington as we head towards your weekend, and then a bit cooler towards the start of the new year.
fresh video with the fresh snow falling in Erie, Pennsylvania. If you're just joining us, haven't really kept tabs on the weather. Erie had more than 30 inches of snow on Christmas. It was the snowiest Christmas on record by far, and 60 inches, 5 feet here since Christmas Eve, about 7 o'clock.
That dog loves it. They usually do. You know, as much as dogs like summertime, I think they really do like the wintertime as well.
They do, yeah. They have a certain excitement about it. And yeah, more of these lake effects, really been lake enhanced driven over the past couple of days.
A lot of that snow piling on up, and you know, there is quite the reason why. For more on this, here's our own Nick Marianos.
It's a process that happens a lot this time of year from November through December, as you have typically temperatures in the teens and 20s crossing over still warm surface temperatures of the Great Lakes. That temperature contrast results in significant evaporation as the coldest air crosses over warm waters of the Great Lakes. That leads to that lake effect snow. So as that air crosses over, of course, you're getting a saturated air mass due to the evaporation over the Great Lakes, but it also causes rising motion. That rising motion happens when you have those onshore winds moving over land that causes friction. That slowing of the air forces it to rise. You get those clouds, you get turbulence, you have instability. Oftentimes you even get some thunder within these lake effect snow bands. And as long as the wind continues moving from the northwest down to the southeast, as long as you have that cold air steadily moving over the warm waters of the Great Lakes, you'll always have that lake effect snow machine ongoing. And this time of year is most frequent because you have the greatest temperature contrast. Now as you get to January, February, where the surface temperatures of the Great Lakes cool down and you still have that cold air mass, you have a less of a temperature contrast, therefore less lake effect snow events.
And here's one way to measure how deep the snow is, how tall your dog. You can even see the dog. It's just tossing it right in there. Bump.
Oh, I think he likes that. He's going for higher ground pretty quick. I would be as well. That is some deep snow out that direction. It's fluffy, though. It's got a really nice consistency to it.
Oh, it's just amazing statistics that have come out from the Erie snowfall so far.
Lots of heavy snow. Let's go ahead and show you a couple of these stats. First of all, how about this? 34 inches over a 24-hour period beat the old record for the date on Monday. Back in 2002, we saw just over 8 inches, but this is the highest one-day total on record, not only for Erie, Pennsylvania, Erie County, but it does look like for the entire state in a 24-hour period. That set a new record. We have updated this to 5 whole feet in Erie, Pennsylvania. That's what we have seen since Sunday. So when the snow comes down in these snow belts, we certainly will see that pile on up, and well, that 60 inches in a 2-day total actually tops what many larger cities across places where we do expect some snow to get in an entire season. So that heavy snow is coming on down. We're going to see it continue in Erie, Pennsylvania as we go through the overnight tonight as well. We may see the better part of a foot adding up before we get into tomorrow afternoon. Temperature's quite cold, and you know what, that cold dry air pushing over the Great Lakes really is able to pick up a lot of moisture deposited pretty quickly on the eastern side of the lakes. Very cold temperatures across the region, so we've got that. We've got some breezes. We also have some wind chill concerns, but in the meantime, where you are into the lake effect snow belts across the Great Lakes, you are going to still see some of that snow coming on down. We'll still have that cold air pushing west to east across Ontario, Lake Erie, bringing us that fairly constant snow. You'll have a few breaks in some of the activity out there, but the snow bands have set up, and as long as we have these lakes clear of ice and actually fairly warm this time of year, we're going to put that snow down. Sometimes it'll come in heavier amounts of waves. Sometimes it's just that it's constant over a 24-hour period that we're able to add so much up. We're going to add to that as well, and this is just the garden variety low pressure system pushing across this region as we round out the rest of this week. So lake enhanced snow added into some of this fairly widespread snow shower activity will give us some pretty good amounts across this region. It could curtail travel just a little bit. Temperatures are going to be so cold out this way. Anywhere we do have water on the roadways, it's going to be frozen up pretty tight. And places where we do expect the heavy amounts of snow, we're talking 1 to 2 more feet as we go through the rest of this week. And the wind chill with those breezes out this direction and temperatures many times well below zero, they're going to be quite cold. In fact, look at some of these Montana wind chills. These are just for your Tuesday. Yeah, it felt almost like negative 50 this direction, and these colder temperatures combined with the winds will give us, again, some dangerous conditions across this region. Keep it here. We'll keep you updated, and you can always go to our Facebook page, check out the newest articles on the weather that concerns you. Hello everyone, welcome into your Southeast Regional Forecast. I want to start right here, Erie, Pennsylvania, in the snow belt, where that snow has been coming on down. In fact, new record-setting snowfall amounts, and we're edging up on 5 feet since the weekend of snow across this region. So you can't clear it quick enough. You can't really go many places quick enough. And this puppy, he can't get to higher ground quick enough trying to get out of some of that deep snow. It's kind of powdery this direction as well. So certainly a very cold temperatures, dropping the snow at a pretty rapid rate. Another shot of this. When you have 5 feet of snow that's come down in a short amount of time, you're going to see records fall. How about this? How about 34 inches in a 24-hour time? It's the highest one-day total recorded, I believe, for the state, actually. So a lot of heavy snow pushing on, and the old record for the date was just a little over 8 inches. Yeah, hardly any back in 2002, but 34 inches. That has piled up. And again, we are edging up on near 5 feet of snowfall. You have to get out there and shovel it when all you really want to do is just hang out on the beach right there, Smith Point Beach in New York. So not everyone, of course, getting in on some of that lake effect snow, but if you're in the snow belts, it's been quite the banner year. Places like Jamestown, the snow has been piling on up that direction. We've seen a little bit of cooler weather into New York, and you're going to stay fairly cool as we go through this next week as well. Temperatures below the normal into Hartford, Connecticut. In fact, temperature should be up around 35, 40 degrees, but now we're going to see these temperatures just into the teens. So certainly the winter has set on in Baltimore, Maryland. You've got these temperatures that will be increasing slightly, but never anywhere close to your average this week. And even by later on this weekend, temperatures locked into just the 20s. New York City, temperature should be about 40 degrees this time of year. We're not going to make it even into the 30s. That means we stay in the deep freeze through this week, right on through New Year's and even into New Year's Day, as those temperatures have really been curtailed. Philadelphia, temperatures should be into the lower 40s. You're going to be into the 20s, maybe into the 30s. That's going to be your warm day on Saturday. A daytime high forecast to about 29 degrees. Pittsburgh, temperatures, of course, a little chilly this portion of Pennsylvania, where we do have those temperatures out of the teens briefly into the 20s by Friday, and then slightly cooler as we push right on through this weekend. So the winds out here are a factor as well. Mainly just because of those very cold temperatures. So wind chill advisories, many places across the New England states, back over to New York, Pennsylvania. Be careful out there. Just make sure you're layering on those clothes, covering up all the exposed skin so you can avoid that dreaded frostbite this direction. Winter weather alerts continue. Of course, this is for the lake effect snow that will be ongoing places into New York, Pennsylvania, even into Ohio, seeing that snow continuing to pile up. We've got those warm lake surface waters, and we've got some very cold dry air blowing right over the top of those, just piling up the snow. Pretty good amounts will continue, and again, it may not look like very much, but it's fairly constant. Once we get some of these snow belts or the bands of snow to really start to push on in, well, it comes down, and it comes down hour after hour after hour, and that's why we can see some of these heavy snowfall amounts that are pushing on through. We get into our Thursday, so we push through Wednesday fairly dry, just with a little bit of that lake effect snow. Thursday morning, high pressure building on in. It's going to reinforce some cooler temperatures, but we also have this next front that is moving into the Great Lakes. That's going to spread some snow starting late on our Thursday into our Friday morning, where we have the lake effect snow. We also have the snow coming down because of our low pressure in the area, so do watch for that as we push towards the end of this week. That pushes out fairly quickly, but it does leave a little bit of snow on the ground out this direction. So as we push into this next weekend, still a holiday weekend, a lot of people still traveling. Just be careful and be aware that we're going to see some really heavy snow near the lakes, certainly a dusting other places to curtail traffic just a little bit. Wednesday morning, Presque Isle, -7, 0 in Burlington. By the afternoon, we are still below 0 degrees right there in northern Maine. Burlington, you've warmed to a whole 10 degrees. Temperatures a little cool across this region as we move through this forecast. So do bundle up. And again, we are pushing into the new year. We're getting into January. These temperatures are going to stay fairly cool, just like what we expect every year. And we also expect a little bit of snow. We've got a couple chances in Baltimore Wednesday, and then again on Saturday. Temperatures along the way, plenty cold enough for some of that winter weather. From Boston, you've got dry skies until we get towards this weekend, and then maybe a little bit of snow on your Saturday. Cooler temperatures after that. Our last stop, New York, with a chance for some snow to kick off the weekend. Colder temperatures Sunday and Monday. All right, everybody, welcome back into Weather Nation. Take a look at this into Chicago, into Detroit, Michigan. Can't really tell the temperature by looking at it. You just know that it's cold that direction. We are frozen pretty solid across this area. Across the upper Midwest, these temperatures are going even lower as we move through the rest of this week, so do brace yourself for that. Winter has just barely got started, and we have got some very cold temperatures we have to talk about.
Well, Mike, luckily we're getting to the season where those are two big sporting cities. We're getting into hockey and basketball, which is indoors. We have a little bit of football, both college and NFL left, so yeah, I guess it's appropriate to get indoors this time of the year. Yeah,
I would take that advice if I was in either of these locations and many other places across the high plains and upper Midwest.
Number right now, 23 below. That's what it feels like in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Lambeau Field in the background. Yeah, historic area for some of those areas, and again, football games that is highly impacted by weather. A lot of cold games played there. Not tonight though, 7 below, and with that little west wind at 8 miles an hour is all it takes to make it feel about 20 below. So we take you to the entire state of Iowa under a wind chill advisory. They extended to Detroit, Chicago. They also extend all the way into parts of upstate Maine, especially upstate New York, northern Pennsylvania, and any shaded area. That's where actually the apparent temperature to the feels like in the bare skin is going to be dangerously cold. This is what tomorrow morning is going to be feeling like. 40 below in Presque Isle, Maine. Oh boy, 19 below in Milwaukee, 14 below in Detroit, 1 below in Lexington, 10 above in New York, 21 above in Washington. So it's really across the high plains and Great Lakes. Now, as we go through the course of tomorrow into tomorrow night, still equally as cold across the Great Lakes. Not as bad for parts of the Northeast. It'll be about 20 below instead of 40 below. I guess we'll take it. And as we go into Friday morning, we're still on the teens to even close to 20 below in parts of the Great Lakes and high plains. A little bit of a moderation here into New England. But then on Saturday, watch what happens. The next core of cold air starts to come down. The model just kind of ends right there, but you already see it coming on down. And as we get into New Year's weekend, that's when temperatures, especially Saturday, Sunday, they start to tumble yet again. So Detroit, we have glimmers of a hope of getting to 20 degrees, but it's back down to the teens in the holiday weekend, the last weekend here of the 2017 year. And Chicago, we get that ringing in the New Year's here, 2 degrees. That's the overnight low. Some of this will make it to Dallas, Texas. Your New Year's Eve temperature projected to be 22 degrees. That's the low, so maybe a little bit warmer at midnight for that, but still 30s for highs. And this is what's causing it, that cold wind, Mike. That's even to me, it's a cold-looking picture right there.
It certainly does, and even just listening to your forecast, I got a little shiver going on. It's cold. We've got these temperatures, single digits above, below zero. We're de-icing plains in Detroit, just to give you kind of the feel of just how cold it is across this portion of the country. Now for some numbers on the deal. How about a big goose egg in Minneapolis? That's what the temperature is right now. We're well below zero other places across the high plains. A lot of this cooler air is inundating pretty far south, but like Steve was just talking, we've got another batch that'll push in by the end of this next weekend that is going to drive pretty far to the south. And along the way, we are going to see those wind chill numbers continuing to be quite dangerously cold. We are well below zero across much of the Great Lakes, the upper Midwest. Dress appropriately for this kind of weather. Cover the exposed skin. Now, wear masks, gloves, certainly, because that can lead to some frostbite fairly quickly. And if you've lived there, just how to dress, but just make sure that you're taking care of each other this direction. Those are some cold temperatures. Even if you're used to these kind of temperatures into single digits, quite chilly. Now, by the afternoon on Wednesday, Minneapolis, 22 degrees, cooler than what we should be this time of the year. So temperatures definitely on the cool side, and that's really why we're talking about them so much. By Saturday, though, Minneapolis, you're not going to break above 0 degrees. So you'll be in the deep freeze. Omaha, 4 whole degrees. Not too far away, though. You've got Denver at 47 degrees into the desert southwest. None of this very frigid air. Now, I'm going to wait to see just how much of this colder air will back up against the Rockies, but certainly we know where the rest of it's going. Onto the plains, into the northeast, and then into the southeast as we move right on through. Denver, a little bit cooler by Sunday afternoon. Certainly cooler other places across the south on our way to, again, the deep freeze in many places. So thanks things are going to be kind of cool as we go right on through the next week. Back into the first portion of January, expect a little warmer out west, quite a bit cooler than average as we're looking across the northeast.